Welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Faringer, an attorney, spiritual guide, and wealth activator. I'm here to help you align your mindset for abundance and break through any glass ceilings with money. If you're ready to embrace your highest calling, manifest with more ease, and create a life that feels lighter and more aligned, then let's dive in. Hello, this is the Wealth Embodied podcast. I am Brianna. I hope you're having a great day. I am going to talk about a topic today that is probably the best place to start if you have never done any mindset work, money mindset work, I should say. It's a fundamental skill that you need to have if you want to start getting more money in your life, a fundamental belief that you have to have awareness around, and that is abundance. So we're going to be talking about how to create an abundance mindset, which is really the main secret to wealth. And so, what is an abundance mindset? A lot of people talk about this in a lot of different ways. I think particularly if you're not in the money mindset world, if you're talking about an abundance mindset in another context, people may have different definitions of it. But the way I would explain it, and the people that I work with, is having this belief that there is more than enough resources, more than enough of everything for you in particular, but for other people. So there's enough of everything to go around. There's enough money, there's enough love, there's enough friendship, there's enough health, things like that. Now, I'm not going to get into things that are finite. There are finite resources. And so that's not what I'm talking about. There are definitely things that exist in the physical world that are finite. Money is not one of them. Time is one of them, but I'm going to get into more about that because time is an area where a lot of people are expressing a non-abundant mindset. So the opposite of abundance is a lack or scarcity mindset. And that's really what I'm talking about today. So if you have an abundant mindset, it is the belief that really no matter what it is that you're talking about in your life or thinking about, whether it's money, love, friendship, food, things like that, that you have a focus on, number one, gratitude for what it is that you do have, and number two, the belief that you are always going to have everything that you need and want. So that is a very broad definition. I recognize that. I will tell you that most people that I come across, no matter who they are, no matter where they've come from, no matter how much money they make, how many assets they own, whether they make a lot of money, whether they don't, most people I know have expressions of lack or scarcity, at least some places in their life. If somebody has a scarcity or lack mindset, it's typically happening in all areas of their life, not just around money. And so, although a lot of my main focus is money, as I've said before, it's really not about the money. So a lack mindset is not always about money. It's not necessarily a lack of money. It can be a lack of anything in your life that you want more of. And so I'm going to get into that so that you have some really concrete examples of where this might be happening in your life. One of the, again, biggest expressions of lack is around time. And I'm going to do an upcoming podcast episode just on time, people feeling like they don't have time, because that's a really big one. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it today just because, we don't have time in this one short episode. But anywhere that you are having this belief that resources are limited, right? There's not enough for you. There's not enough to go around. So I'll give you some examples. You may have the belief that if other people have money, that means there's not some available for you. Not true. You may have a belief that there's just not enough money to go around, period. That's not true. There's a lot of money to go around. There's more than enough money. It's just that who's holding it at any one point in time. You may just not be holding it at that point in time, but that doesn't mean there's not enough money to go around. If you have this belief that there's not enough money, then it's going to affect your ability to get more of it. And so a lack mindset is it's a focus on anywhere in your life that you are lacking something. It could be health. If you constantly tell yourself you're unhealthy. And by the way, I'm going to actually get into an example of using health because it's one that affects me quite a bit. But if you are focused on what you do not have, it's going to continue to result in experiences, events, circumstances coming into your life that reinforces the belief that you don't have enough of something. So I say this all the time. Worrying is like praying for what you do not want to happen. When you are focused on something you don't want to happen, or you're worrying about something, you are energetically asking for it to continue to come into your life. So when you're focused on lack, it's impossible to have abundance in the ways that you truly want to have it in your life, whether it's around money or something else. But when you're constantly saying, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough love, I don't have enough friends, I don't have good health, even if those things might be true at some points in your life, there is a way of looking at them, a perspective that you can have that focuses on what you do want, not on what you don't want. And I'm going to get into some very specific examples because I think that's always helpful. And this is something that even I deal with, helping other people with money mindset regularly. This is the work I do. This creeps up in my life every now and again because I lived the large majority of my life being worried about the things I didn't have, being constantly worried about money, constantly worried about the worst case scenario happening. And it's a little bit of a habit for me now. I have to just be really aware of what's going on in my life. What are the thoughts that I have around things? If I ever, hear in my mind me saying, or even if I say it out loud to myself, I don't have enough money or I don't have money for this, I have to really be cautious about shifting it because focus on lack brings you lack. Focus on abundance or the thing that you want brings you abundance. It's very, very simple. It's not, if you're trying to shift it, right? Like it's just a skill that you need to learn. Like everything else, it's a skill. You can learn how to do it. It takes awareness. It takes a desire to do it. It takes practice. You can become a person that has an incredibly abundant mindset, even if you have nothing, even if you have traditionally been a worrier, even if you have traditionally been focused on the worst case scenarios. Focusing on the worst case scenario does not help you. It does not help you. And so if you can get a perspective around something that is helpful to you, it's going to be better for your overall health and wellness and abundance than focusing on something that worries you and gives you stress and anxiety. So we're going to talk about these in a lot more, with more specificity so that this makes a lot more sense. But if you focus on lack or you focus on where you don't have something, it's going to bring it in. When you focus on this is what I'm grateful for, these are the things I do have, even if it's not very much, because there may be times in your life where you don't have a lot, and that might be a real fact, a real thing that's happening in your life. It's all about the perspective that you have and how you respond to it. It's not about the events that happen in our life. It's really about how we respond to it. We have so much power over the things that are happening in our lives, and we don't view it that way because of the perspectives that we have. So if I'm constantly focused on, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, it creates a scenario where you start to get angry with people that do have money. It creates judgments around, a lot of judgments around money and what it means to have money, and people that have money are greedy. It reinforces all of these things. But if I say today, look, maybe I don't have money to pay for something, but I am thankful that I have a home to live in. I have a roof over me. I mean, in Denver today, it's like 7 degrees outside. It was 7 degrees when I woke up. I'm thankful that I have heat in my home. I'm thankful that I have blankets, right? Like those are super basic things that I don't have to have a lot of to have gratitude for. And I'm not talking about money, right? Like me having gratitude for having heat in my home is not necessarily specifically about money, but it affects money because when you are focused on what you have, whether it's money or otherwise, you have gratitude for the things that you currently have in your life, even if it's not what you want, you are going to start recognizing shifts. So there's two ways of looking at things. If I'm specifically talking about money, let's say today I have a bill to pay and I don't have money to do it. That may be a real fact. Like that has happened many points in my life. It happens to most people unless they, have loads of money and have always had that, but that's not really the most realistic thing. There's always going to be a time in someone's life where they don't have money to pay for something that they need or they want. That's a fact. It happens. When you are in that situation, it's the difference between focusing on, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, and being in that energy and saying, okay, I don't have enough money for this thing today. I have gratitude for all of the things that I do have. And when I have the money to pay it, I will. It's that simple. It's just a matter of perspective. There's a very huge energy difference between being in the energy of, I don't have, I don't have, I don't have, and I'm grateful for what I do have, and I'm going to focus on what I want to happen. It's just a matter of perspective. I have had things miraculously change in my life as the result of a shift in perspective. And when it comes to abundance, something that a lot of people misunderstand, in fact, I would say most people, is they have a belief that a scarcity mindset only affects people who don't have money, or it only affects poor people. And that's not true. When I recognized or learned that I had a financial scarcity mindset that was causing my chronic lower back pain, I was making the most money I'd ever made in my life. I made more than enough money to pay for all my bills. I was able to do most things that I wanted to do. I had more than enough money. I didn't need to be worried about it, but I constantly was. The reason is because it was something I did my whole life. It never occurred to me that it needed to change. And then when I started to change it, when I was like, oh my gosh, this is causing my chronic back pain that I've had for 7.5 years, I was like, I'm going to shift this. Things in my world started to change dramatically, not just my health, my mental health, the amount of money, opportunities, people, things that were coming into my life immediately started to shift. And that's when I was like, whoa, this is incredible. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh, I make the amount of money I want, this doesn't affect me. Okay, if you're happy exactly where you are and you don't want your life to ever be any different or any better, totally fine. What I will say is if you are consciously or subconsciously focused on lack anywhere in your life, it will affect the amount of money and abundance that you have, and it will prevent you from living the best life that you could possibly live. And so, just having some maybe curiosity around it and saying, okay, where in my life am I having expressions of lack? Because if you are expressing a constant lack of, like, let's just say it's time, it's going to affect your ability to make money. It will, even though you're not thinking about money, you're thinking about time. Those things are subconscious and they get programmed into us. And then our body starts to become normalized to the feeling of lack. And so then we don't recognize that it's a problem. But it is a problem because it's going to prevent you from getting all of the things that you want. And it's actually super easy to shift. It's just really a matter of changing your perspective. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Like, I'm going to give you an example of where this comes up a lot for me. And this is something that comes up recently. So I will sometimes tell myself that I'm not healthy. And that is not true. So when we're talking about expressions of lack, usually the beliefs that we have around it are something that's actually not a true statement. So I'm going to use health just as an example. So if I'm saying I'm unhealthy, that's a lack of health. And for me, that requires me to look at what in my life do I believe being healthy means, and what is causing me to think that I'm not being healthy, that I'm unhealthy. Because the reality is I am a healthy person. I'm probably healthier than the majority of the population. At least under my own beliefs. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do drugs. I don't eat meat. I sleep 8 to 9 hours a night. I have eliminated as much stress and anxiety from my life as possible. I live a lifestyle that I believe is consistent with continual personal and spiritual growth and things that keep me healthy, I think, from an overall holistic perspective. The times that I tell myself I'm unhealthy, or if I'm having this belief like, oh, Brianna, you need to be more healthy, it's always centered around food or exercise. That's always what it's about. And so Here's the thing, if I'm telling myself I'm unhealthy, that's not a true statement. I am healthy. I have occasions in my life where I do things that don't align with my beliefs around health, and there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean I should continue to focus on I'm unhealthy, I'm unhealthy. And I'm telling you this because the beliefs that we have around lack are usually not true. And so it's important to explore, where in my life am I expressing areas of lack? Is it around friendship, love, money, food, things that I need, health, a career, a job, anything? Look at everything and say, where am I in my life? Do I feel I'm experiencing not enoughness? I don't have enough of this thing. Just looking at it. And then digging into the statement and saying, is this even a true statement? Because we will say things to ourselves that are not true. And then we decide that we're living by this untrue statement. So if I'm continuing to say, I'm unhealthy, I am going to have things that come into my life that reinforce that belief. Whereas if I look at the reason I'm saying it, so for me, when this comes up in my mind, it's usually around something that I ate or like exercise that I didn't do. Because overall, I do know I'm a healthy person. I live a healthy lifestyle. So, me not exercising one day does not make me unhealthy. That's not a true statement. And that's a silly thing for me to be focused on. What I could say is, let's say I ate something today that I didn't feel that great about, or I felt wasn't as healthy as I'd normally eat. By the way, that's okay. Like, it's okay to do things in moderation. I'm not a health or nutritionist, but for me, I largely eat what I want. But, there might be occasions where I eat things that are maybe not in line with my standards of health. Okay. So let's say I've eaten something that I feel is unhealthy. I'm not going to continue to tell myself all day that I'm unhealthy. What I can say is, I ate something today that's outside of my normal standards for health, and I'm going to do better tomorrow. That's a true statement. And that statement helps me focus on what I do want, which is eating better, and not on being, I'm unhealthy, I ate this thing, and then like punishing myself for it. So if you are doing this, it's just developing an awareness around it. Like I used to tell myself I didn't have enough money. That was not a true statement. The reason I would tell myself that was because I was thinking that I needed far more money for retirement, or I needed far more money to accomplish the things that I wanted in life. But that didn't mean I didn't have enough money. I did. I've, definitely had times in my life where I haven't had, a lot of money, or maybe the amount of money that I even needed to pay my bills. But for the large part, I have always at least had enough. So I've never had a reason to be like, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. When you're focused on that, things are going to continue to reinforce that belief. When you're focused on, I want more money, as opposed to, I don't have enough money, that's a very different energy. Right. So if I go back to my example about health and I'm saying, I want to be, I do want to be a little bit healthier. Great. Instead of saying I'm unhealthy, I'm just going to tell myself I want to do things that are more aligned with my beliefs around health. That's a true statement. And that's a statement that helps me. It's a statement where I'm not focused on lack. It's a state where a mindset where I'm focused on what I want. Right. So if you focus on what you don't want, you're going to get what you don't want. When you focus on what you want, you're going to get what you want. When you're focused on lack, you're going to get lack. It's really that simple. And this is just a foundational starting place for recognizing areas of your life where you are maybe limiting yourself from getting more of what you want. Any expressions of lack whatsoever. It does not matter what it is. Time is such a big one. And like I said, I'm going to do an episode just on time because it's such a huge topic, and it's an area where a lot of people express lack, not having not enough time, not enough time, not enough time. That's horrible energy to be in for so many reasons. And even though the time that we have in this physical life is limited, and we don't even know for each of us how long we have, when you are focused on not having enough time, your life is always going to feel that way. Always. If you're focused on, thinking that you can't get everything done, that's how your life is going to feel. And that's not a great place to be. When you're focused on, this is the time that I have, and this is how I'm choosing to use it, and I'm using it in the ways that bring me joy and allow me to live my life in the most, joyful, aligned way possible. That's a very different perspective than I don't have enough time. And so that's why I'm saying, it's important to look at areas of your life and say, where am I expressing lack? Okay. If it were me, I would go through and I would write those things down. Where am I expressing lack? Where am I saying to myself, I don't have enough of this thing? And is it actually a true statement? If it is not a true statement, come up with a statement that is true. If you're going to tell yourself a story, at least tell yourself one that's helpful. Right. So this is, I tell people this all the time. We make up stories in our minds all the time, and most of them aren't even true. At least if you're going to live by a story, live by one that's helpful to you, not one that's causing you stress and worry. So if you have this belief, like if you're making $200,000 a year and you have a belief that you don't have money, I can tell you absolutely with absolute certainty, you should not have a mindset that you don't have enough money. I'm just saying that because if you feel like you don't have enough money, that's probably the result of choices that you are making. And that's a completely different topic. But, if you live below the poverty level, you saying you don't have enough money may be true. If you are not in that place, you probably are making enough money at least to get by. So stop telling yourself you don't have money and start focusing on the amount of money that you do want, right? So if money is a thing that you are expressing lack, what are the stories that you're telling yourself? Are they true? If they are true, then how can you come up with a reframe so that it is allowing you to focus on what you do want as opposed to what you don't want? And if it's not a true story, can you come up with one that's helpful? So, again, just using my example of being unhealthy, me telling myself I'm unhealthy, that's not even true. It's just not. If I decided that I was going to completely stop focusing on health whatsoever, I was getting 4 hours of sleep a night. I started drinking alcohol. I started doing drugs. I started smoking. I started doing, engaging in risky behaviors. Okay, then I might be able to tell myself I'm unhealthy, but that's not where we are. So the story that I have around my health is not true. What is a story or something that I can tell myself? What's a reframe that I can come up with to say that it is true? One, I can just come up off the top of my head. I am healthy. And even if I make some choices that don't align with my beliefs around health, I'm focused on my health and I'll always do better the next time. Or like if I eat something unhealthy today, or let's say I had planned to exercise today, if I don't get to it, I will say, okay, I didn't make time to exercise today. I can do it tomorrow. What I'm not going to say is I'm unhealthy because I missed a workout. Those are two very drastically different perspectives. And this is where people are. They focus on where am I having lack or where am I doing bad things? Where am I doing something that doesn't align with my beliefs? And I'm going to focus on that thing. Just focus on what you do want. What do you want in your life? Focus on that. Don't focus on what you don't have. And again, when you have times in your life where you don't have money, focus on what you want to happen. Don't focus on, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money. Focus on, I want X amount of money. Today, I'm grateful because I have these things in my life, and I'm going to focus on the amount of money that I do want or what I do want to happen. Just shift your perspective. It is that simple. I will tell you, there were so many times in my life that if I had just had a change in perspective, things would have been so dramatically different. And I don't believe in going back and second guessing or having regrets about things because I know that I am exactly where I need to be today because of everything that has happened up until now, and including every mindset that I've had and every decision I've made around that. But I've had so many times where just like a really simple shift in my belief around something made such a dramatic change, like more so than years of therapy that I had gone through. I mean, there are some things that you need to, resolve through, maybe can only be resolved through certain things and, putting a lot of time and effort into it. But there's some things that can be dramatically shifted if you just have a changed perspective. And this is one of them. If you are a person who's constantly focused on the negative, constantly worried about, what can go wrong, catastrophizing, that's not necessarily lack, but it is in the same realm, which is you're focusing on what you don't want to happen. Start focusing on what you do want to happen. Because worrying isn't helping you, focusing on lack isn't helping you. What is going to help you is if you start a gratitude practice and being really grateful for the things that you do have, even if they're basic. Like just having clothes to wear is something that I'm grateful for some days. It doesn't have to be an earth-shattering thing that you have to have gratitude for. It's just about recognizing, what do I have in my life? Do I have one great friend that I'm thankful for? Am I grateful to have a job to go to because it does allow me to money, even if I don't have the amount that I want? Like, find one thing every day that you can have gratitude for and focus on what you want. Those two things can dramatically change your life if you do nothing else. Just practice, practice, practice. These are skills. These are not things that are going to change overnight. It's just about saying, where in my life am I having a lack mindset? Where in my life am I believing that I don't have enough of something, and that maybe I can't get enough of something, and starting to say, yes, there is enough of everything I need in the world, and I can access it if I choose to. And I'm going to focus on what I want, not on what I don't want. So I really hope that you are able to use some of these examples that I gave today to figure out where maybe in your life you can make some shifts. Even if it's just one area, it can really make a dramatic change in your life. And so I hope that you got something from this today. Thank you so much for tuning into the Wealth Embodied podcast. Have a great day. Bye.
Hey, before you go, would you love to receive my 3-step masterclass to easily create and hold wealth for free? It's called Effortless Money, and it includes the exact framework to start attracting money effortlessly and manifesting abundance with more ease. If you want it for free, all you have to do is leave an honest review of the Wealth Embodied podcast, take a screenshot of this episode and put it in your Instagram stories and tag me at Brianna_Faringer, and we will send you the free Effortless Money Masterclass. This is how my clients have manifested a $13,000 check, a promotion resulting in a $30,000 salary increase, and significantly improved relationships. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time on the Wealth Embodied podcast.